Okay, we're going to get started so we can keep everybody on schedule. We're videotaping this so we can put this on the website and get this to our owners that aren't in Coronado and can't attend today. My name is Alan Agater. I'm the manager of the ElEncantoTower. Today is Friday, October 17th, 2014, and this is Meet the Candidates Coffee, an opportunity for each candidate to provide a short statement, answer some questions in an informal way to better educate you on how you may want to vote. Don't forget to turn in your ballots. I need those ballots by Friday, November 7th. How this will work, we have all 6 candidates here. We'll offer them 10 minutes each, and it's up to them if they want to give a short little statement, and then open it up to any kind of questions that you may have. My only reminder to all of you is these are your neighbors. They're volunteering their time, so be kind. Good questions, nothing tough. And with that, I'm going to introduce the candidates, and these are just alphabetically, and you'll see from your left to your right, we have Sharon Lapid, Bruce Mackey, Karen O'Dwyer, if I said that correctly. Kieran O'Dwyer, Tom Turney, Ryan Singh, if I said that correctly, I hope I pronounced. I'm sorry? Sang. Ryan Sang, and Brent Yoder. So we're just going to start again from your left with Sharon, and she has 10 minutes to make a short presentation if you'd like, or just questions and answers.
Thank you, Alan. It's sort of strange when the first letter of the alphabet is L. It's the middle of the alphabet. We're on the second half of the alphabet, which is rare. I'd like to tell you what I bring to the table. Being an ElEncanto resident for 15 years, 13 years serving on our board, 10 of which as president, has provided involvement and awareness for me. This experience is not just leaky pipes, elevator outages, and rooftop equipment. Although I learned a lot about these things, they're not my forte. My real awareness is understanding the needs of our residents and trying to find a fair balance between the diverse opinions on how our buildings should work. We are a community that functions through cooperation. The rules we adopt for safety, comfort, and function may seem overbearing, but we have each chosen to live in a group setting, and working together is essential. I try to look at both sides of every issue and find win-win solutions for our ElEncanto neighborhood. This cooperation, I feel, also applies to the board. An effective board, in my opinion, is comprised of members with different areas of expertise, varying approaches to problem solving, and independent interests. Blending these differences in a respectful way with the intent of creating the best possible building is my vision, and striking a balance between the bottom line and the quality of our life is my goal. I think of myself as energetic, resourceful, and productive, and I worked hard as president, but I also value my involvement with the other 9 buildings. While on L&R and various committees for 10 years, many improvements occurred and many bonds were formed. Although it almost broke my heart, leading the defeated 10-year attempt to build a new fitness center, I don't regret. This too provided great friends and a feeling of purpose and community. Still not sure we made the right decision. After I took a year off from all my meetings after my resignation, I did remain active on the Community Alliance Committee. Members from each building look at issues here at the shores vis-a-vis the city of Coronado. We each choose topics that we care about and independently go to work to improve, redirect, or bring community attention to. These include traffic, bike paths, fire rings at the beach, bathrooms on South Beach, air quality, and noise. Because we deal with the city, this group is not a part of L&R, but I must say that L&R is proud of our accomplishments. A big concern for me was the dangerous intersection coming out of the shore's main entrance. I witnessed too many near hits. I dealt with the mayor and chief engineer in providing better pedestrian safety. We now have pedestrian countdown signals, and Caltrans is in the process of providing better signage. Our group is responsible for the new sign on our property regarding left turns onto the Silver Strand as you exit the shores. My newest peeve is helicopter noise. I am currently in communication with the Navy to try and eliminate the increased number of helicopters flying so close to the shores on their way to North Island. If it's possible for them to fly a quarter mile out over the ocean and then come in for a landing, I know all of us would be grateful. Our Community Alliance group is sponsoring the forum for Coronado City Council candidates this coming Tuesday at the Beach Club. It starts at 7. All 3 candidates are speaking, and Mayor Tanaka is moderating. If you haven't already voted absentee, think about holding your ballots until after the discussion, and I'd like to invite you all to please come. I know I must be crazy to run again, but I really like serving our building, and I feel like I still have something to offer. Thank you.
And there's 5 minutes left for sharing. If there's any questions from any of you that you would like to ask.
I'm just curious about the helicopter noise. I have a brother that's a Navy SEAL, and they do a tremendous amount of training. He's been deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's something I'm passionate about. And they have to deal with a lot of red tape to get the training that they need, and so I feel like it's, we shouldn't be trying to make them fly around the shores, and putting additional burden beyond what they already have to do.
Well, I understand what you're saying. There was an organization of the Navy called ACUS, and in their programming, they specified that the helicopters, unless there was extreme danger, weather or whatever, should fly a quarter mile out, and that hasn't been held up. And I appreciate them too, but it's just that you and I both live in Bruce on that ocean side, and it's really rattling when they come by. And if it wouldn't harm, that's all I'm saying, if it doesn't really harm them or make it difficult, would make our life a lot better if they were just a quarter mile out. And one thing that I didn't say is that I feel it's really important to try and do everything we can as a board, or who's ever on the board, to try and involve more people. I mean, it's like, there used to be committees where if somebody died or if somebody was sick, there was telephone, what do you call it, telephone? Conversation that one person would call somebody and somebody. There's nothing like that now. And I feel like, as I said, we are a community, and I think there are a lot of simple things that don't take much time that can bring us closer together. Like, not necessarily big holiday parties or that, but we can have groups. We can have, a Saturday afternoon get-together that doesn't cost anything. I mean, I know all of us would be happy to bring some juice and wine and water and just get together, kind of meet and greet our neighbors, and really make it feel more like home.
I have a question it's directed to all of you, but I didn't want to take and individualize it, but excuse me. 2 of you will be elected and 4 of you won't. However, if you are or if you are not elected, would you be willing to sit on a lot of committees? Because some of these committees, there's 1 or 2 people that encompass all of the committees because nobody else will volunteer. And it's a great learning experience, along with what Sharon was just saying, to get to know the community a whole lot better and how this interaction kind of works, or just to sit in on the LNR meetings and so on. It would be very beneficial, because next year at this time there's going to be 3 openings. And for the ones that would choose to say, well, listen, I'm going to go through this again because next year there'll be 3 openings and so on. But it would be a great way to familiarize yourself more with the activities as the community as a whole and how it affects our building. So that's just a point of interest, and I thought I'd address it to everybody. But I believe that the only position that has to be filled by a director is an L&R representative.
That's true.
But Brent sits on landscaping, there's recreation, there's community alliance, there's all kinds of activities going on here that if we're really concerned, as we say we are, then are we willing to get involved a little bit more so that next year and so on, you'll have a much better idea of what's really going on, and it makes that transition a whole lot easier for everybody. And then when you come to a board meeting, you'll have a better idea, and then we can talk constructively about some certain things because everybody's kind of in tune with what's going on, and we can address it better and maybe get the better results and so on. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a general thing, thought-provoking for yourself. I don't expect an answer, but if you want to answer it during your presentation, that would be great, but if not, that's fine too.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sharon. And now we'll allow Bruce Mackey your 10 minutes.
I'm not sure I'll do 10 minutes, but Bruce Mackey, I live in ElEncanto, 6 years. In the Shores for 40 years. I've owned property, various buildings. Very familiar with the development from its early stages, what the vision was of the original developer, Jerry Schneider. And it's been just a pleasure to always be involved down here. It's gone through its number of phases, some good, some bad, as every business does, and that's really kind of what we are here. It's a big business. It's a big community. There's a diverse crowd of people that have different wishes, and it's hard to satisfy everyone's wishes. When you're trying to make the facilities all comparable to what I would consider a 5-star resort, that's what we have, and the ability to keep that, we need real involvement from the community. Big emphasis on maintaining what we have and being custodians of this whole total campus. As far as the ElEncanto board, its piece in this, of the 10 buildings of the association, including L&R, is a really big responsibility for the board members. It's a lot of time that's involved. People that don't serve on the board, that just show up to enjoy the beach and everything, that's not what the board goes through. Every time we're down here, we're looking for things, trying to support Alan and the team to maintain our building and get it to the level where it should be. I know when I first came in, I wasn't happy with the facility. I didn't think ElEncanto building was at the level of some of the other buildings, maintenance-wise, and the reserves weren't right. So there were many issues that were trying to be addressed, but the board didn't have the support. I think that's all changed. I think Sharon, you did a great job, 10 years on the board and serving as president. And the energy you put into the community really makes a difference. I think all of us, whoever gets elected, and everybody that sits on the board has to take a real, make a real commitment to serve. I think our current president, Don, is involved in just about every meeting that he could attend, he's in. And it's important that we all do that. And I haven't done that as well as I should and will going forward. But it's a real problem when we have a building that needs as much work as ours and trying to balance raising dues or deferring maintenance. And I think that's a real issue that we all have to pay attention to. We have to be very vigilant on getting ahead of the maintenance requirements and not run into where we're band-aiding equipment and band-aiding deferring the maintenance of the halls and garages and everything else. That we have to be conscious of getting the building to the level of, let's say, a La Sierra Tower or even the Perla. There's a number of presidents of those buildings that I've spoken to, and board members and managers, to understand what they had to do to achieve the level and maintain the level of maintenance. And I think that's something that I'm really passionate about, maintaining our building and getting it up to the level of, to be the building of choice when people come in to make an investment and buy a unit. That's basically it.
Any questions for Bruce? He's got 5 more minutes or so. Bruce, thank you very much. Brenda Dwyer, your 10 minutes.
My 10 minutes of fame. Good morning. My name is Kieran O'Dwyer. As you can see from my extensive CV, I've had almost 50 years experience as a military officer, as a corporate director, and as a chairman of a public limited company in England. During that long career, I've had a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities and a very good life. I just felt it was about time I gave some of it back. And that's why I put my name forward to become a director and perhaps bring a little fresh blood, albeit old blood, to the board. That's all I have to say.
And any questions from the audience? Okay, well, thank you very much. And we'll move to Tom Turney.
Thank you. Good morning. Some of you may recognize me from the summers I'm here. I don't live here full-time, which could be a deterrent for some people, but I want you to get to know me. I grew up in Florida, and I moved out to Arizona, and I met a woman whose mother had rented a unit here for 10 years. So I started coming over here. First it was a weekend, then it was 2 weeks, then it was as much time as I could get off from work, and then eventually my mother-in-law passed, so we assumed that rentage unit in 2009. We continued to rent that unit for about 12 more years. And through that time I got married, ended up having 3 kids, ended up buying a place 4 years ago, so I'm in 909 now. And I fell in love with the shores, fell in love with ElEncanto, fell in love with Coronado. I spend at least 100 to 125 nights out here, and I'm anal enough to count them. And one of the reasons why I want to be on the board is because it forces me to be out here more, which I'm very happy to do that. So I have 3 teenage daughters. If you've seen me around the building in the summer, 2 are twins, they're 13-year-old. They're both about 5'8". They have a dog walking business they try to incorporate. They sell cookies and snacks on the beach in the summer. And I also have a big golden retriever, so I have a dog, and I'm very in tune with what happens in this building. From a personal perspective, why do I want to do this? It's not because I'm bored. I mean, I'm a businessman, I'm very competitive, and I feel like I can bridge the gap between people that are retired and people that are younger. And I have a family, I have children, I have a dog, I've rented for 15 years. I have a lot of annoying Arizona friends that rent here that don't understand the rules. I have a lot of Arizona friends that own here that understand the rules that aren't involved in our building. And I feel like one of the things I don't know about our building is what percent are from another country, what percent are from Arizona, what percent are from Coronado, live here full time. That's a big issue, because the reason why people aren't involved is because I know for the Arizona owners, because I'm friends with 95% of them, is they don't get involved because they don't understand what's going on. They just complain. Everyone complains all the time. Why do they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they? I'm like, well, get involved. When they're like, why don't you get involved? Why? I'm going to get involved. That's my goal. Is, I'm a businessman. I've been very successful. I'm 51 years old. I love it out here. I love the challenge of helping people. I love the challenge of bridging the gap. I went this summer with the staff on the shores and bought them lunch. We made carne asada. I bought the meat. Angel took it from Mexico to come down. I want to get to know them. I treat them with respect. I ask them about the issues in the building, trying to understand what's going on. So I think with me, what you're going to get is a guy that's well-rounded from the standpoint of, I understand the renter's position, I understand the owner's position, I understand what it's like to be from Arizona and those people that don't live here full-time, what they expect. And I'll be quite honest, I mean, my favorite month of the year used to be July. And guess what? You know what it is now. It's my least favorite month, right? And you know, it's the abuse that our building takes in the summer. It's annoying, and it's almost like, how do we let it happen? I live in 909, and the unit next to me, we have new owners. They rented out their unit this summer to what was a woman and her son, which turned out to be about 8 high school kids from Arizona. Day one, they were smoking pot. I walked into my unit one night. I thought I didn't know what my kids knew what pot was, and I walked out. I mean, you're smoking pot in my unit. I'm walking around. I'm looking what's going on in here, and it was the building next door. And you know, my kids were like, Dad, don't narc on us, you know. And you know, long story short, they got kicked out eventually, but they just abused the hell out of that building. And Madhu has a unit in our unit. She lives in a different building. She rented on 9 to family, and I told her, I said, you know, there's like 20 people staying in your unit. She goes, no, there's not. I go, Madhu, I watch them go down every morning to the beach. I count how many people come out, and I said, it's ridiculous. And I mean, but those are the things that I think we're missing some of the control of. The part that we don't like in this is that we rent these these units out, or some of us do. I'm not a renter. I don't rent my unit, and we let them abuse the building. I gotta say, I have a lot of friends that rent and own in other buildings, and I think this building does a pretty good job. I think Alan does a good job. You know, the maintenance part, you know, one of the things that caught my interest is you didn't have to spend money periodically. We tried to save money in the reserves to fix the stuff. I mean, I'm not in tune with a lot of that right now. I understand how finances work and P&Ls work, so I would definitely be able to help with figuring that out. But my opinion is the building runs great. I get pretty peeved when some of my realtor friends on the island say, you know, the building's closer to the Dell have higher value than yours, and your building faces it the wrong way. I'm like, you know, you're out of your mind. I mean, it's just an interesting concept of the way people perceive the different things. So anyway, right now I have my own business with 2 business partners. We sell organic supplements. I manage the sales side of it. I travel all the time. I'm free to do what I want. So from a resource perspective, from an availability perspective, I'm very available. So I'm asking you for your vote. You know, I haven't been on the board. I want to be on the board, so at least consider me. Thank you.
Dan, any questions from?
I'm sorry, one more thing, to answer your question. Yeah, I mean, to be on a committee would definitely be something, you know, I've got to get more involved. That's my own opinion. So you had asked if I didn't get elected, would I want to do that? You know, I would definitely, you know, it depends. I'm glad that the health club, you know, I come here in the summers and I don't rent. I join a health club on the island. I don't use our facility. So I was fine with upgrading that. I think this is such a nice place. Why not have nice everything? Why stop there? So it depends on the committee and that, but you know. And hats off to whoever is putting the grills on the other side of the building. I think that's really, that's another pet peeve of mine every summer is I've got to wait out there in line and fight with people to get a grill. So we now cook on July 3rd and July 4th in the unit. I mean, so.
That was Alan's idea, and the board loved it when he brought it up. So you can thank Alan because that was his brainchild. And just to let everybody know ahead of time that was all approved yesterday, so we can go forward with it. The community, because that barbecue is on common land, it's not part of our footprint. We had to go through the process of a committee and then L&R, but everybody signed off on it, so we're excited, and thank you, Alan.
We can now grill again.
Absolutely. Move on to Ryan Sang and allow you your 10 minutes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ryan Sang. I live year-round with my wife, Thomas, and my dog Mocha in Unit 1207. First, I just want to say that I think we have a great place to live. I think that Alan and all the staff, and I think the board, and everybody that's been on there has done a great job. I've been fortunate to have moved in 2.5 years ago, and it sounds like I missed some of the tougher, more austere times in the ElEncanto history. But the reason I'm running is that I do think that we have a really great place to live, and I want to do my part to make sure that it continues to be a great place to live, to vacation, and to invest. My background is I'm an engineer. I started a company. I sold it to Qualcomm. I worked at Qualcomm for a number of years. I think I have a good amount of relevant experience. At Qualcomm, I launched a standards development organization. Like if you're familiar with USB or Wi-Fi, those are standards driven by standards organizations. And so our standards development organization attracted over 100 companies, including Intel, Samsung, Qualcomm, LG, Panasonic, Sony, T-Mobile. And so I represented Qualcomm's interests in the standards body, and I drove a lot of that activity. And so I have a lot of experience negotiating with large groups of people that have a very diverse set of interests from around the world. We got a lot done. It's a world-class standards organization. And before that, before I went to school to get my degrees, I was an electrician and I was a carpenter. And I also worked in an engineering construction firm, so I have managing commercial and industrial construction projects. So I have a good handle on when things go wrong, what it takes to get them fixed, and so I know that a large portion of our budget goes to operations and maintenance expenses, and so I've done a lot of that stuff growing up and during my career, and so I think that I'd be able to bring that value to the board, making sure that we're getting the right deal, that we're not getting lied to, and making sure that we're getting the right things fixed. Beyond that, I love living here. All the people that I've met in the building are great. I hope to continue to meet more people, and I'd be happy to serve on the board if you guys would have me. Any questions?
Great, well, thank you very much. Again, any questions for Ryan before we? Okay, well, Brent Yoder, we'll allow you your 10 minutes.
I've been involved with the Shores for probably 25 years. My in-laws first started here, and my kids grew up here, so this feels like home to me in many ways. In fact, my kids still use our condo and on a regular basis and come down here, so it's like a home to them. I don't think they could ever imagine giving up our home down here. I think what I want to start with is I want to say I'm really impressed that we have 6 people applying for 2 things. I mean, how many condominium associations get that many people willing to volunteer? That's impressive, and what a great panel we have here in front of us. I mean, any choices are going to be good. You can hear the motivation, which is real special. What led me to offer my name for this position was that I started this past year, actually at our last annual meeting, there was an opening for the landscape committee, and I kind of blindly volunteered for the landscape committee, which is a very tough committee, but I've learned a lot. I've been, I've learned a lot and really enjoyed getting involved in the whole community. And that's led me to attending the board meetings, which I had never done before, and attending the board meetings on multiple different occasions to present the landscape. And so how much good work our people were doing. We've got a great board that's doing a great job. I mean, we all owe them a word of applause and recognition for all the work that they've done. They work really hard. So that's what led me to think, well, I'm willing to do that as well. I'm willing to volunteer my time. The only thing I would say about it is that my kind of philosophy is that I believe in representing all the tenants, so I'm willing to listen to what the tenants want and to kind of represent all of us. I think we all share a very common interest, and that's about having a quality place to live and keeping the value of our place. And so that's the way I would represent it. And so that's all. Anybody has any questions, you're welcome to ask. And I do encourage other people to get involved in the committees. I think it's really valuable. And Don does a tremendous amount of work with all the committees, so he could use some relief, I'm sure.
I'm going to ask for relief next year, to be quite honest. Yeah, I am. I need some help. I travel. I'm not taking over the meeting, but just as a point of interest, because I'm going to make it known this afternoon anyway. But I'm not going to resign. But this coming year, I cannot travel between here and Las Vegas every month and do this. I've got a lot of things going on in my business. I still own and manage a business in Las Vegas, and there's things that are happening. So my involvement is going to be more telephone rather than in person, which it has been. So that's mine, and to be quite honest, I don't believe that after next year, I'll be going further with it, so there will be 3 positions available. I won't be one of the candidates. I made a vow when I first got into this, which was, this is the end of my 7th year, and I said I'll either serve until I'm not elected, or when I reach 70, I'm not going to do it anymore. Well, I reached 70, and I've got another year left on my commitment, because last year we did this 2-year thing, so that's how that all evolved. But I am going to need some help, and we are going to need some help this year, this coming year, 2015, on committees and so on. And I have to tell you, it is a great learning experience, and your perception just changes dramatically.
Yes.
Some of you have been through things like that and so on and know what to expect. We all go into it with an attitude, well, I've run a business, I know how to do this and do that, and that's fine if it's on an individual basis and getting along with other people. But this HOA thing, we're used to making decisions like, okay, a problem arises, we make the decision, and then you go on with business. Man, oh man, HOA, it doesn't work that way. There's legalities, there's all these different things that got to go on, and the time frame looks like, you say, if you have an impatient personality, which I probably do, it kind of gets you after a while, but you learn, and it taught me some patience. But I just wanted to share that with you, and so on. But I've learned a lot. I appreciate it a lot. Next year, I'm not going to be able to do as much as I am, because I have commitments I have partners and that type of thing, and I have other commitments that I need to address and finalize in my personal life and business life in Las Vegas. So.
But not to take too much of his
Can I?
time, you've only got a couple minutes left, and I'd like to make sure that you use them for your...
I'd like to make one other comment for encouragement for committee involvement. The board, our board, it values the committee input. So if you do involve yourself in a committee, it's not like it's going to be a waste of time, it's going to be used. And that's something that's pressed. A lot of times I've been on committees where it's been kind of a waste of time. But this is not the case. Our board's very interested in what's happening in the committees and really involve it. So it's just a word of encouragement for anybody who wants to join a committee and volunteer their time.
Any other questions for Brent?
Well, question from the group.
That's fine too.
But I'd like to ask all of you if you have thought about balancing the budget and cost cutting. We have limited income, we have expenses going up. So where do you see we can cost cut to balance the budget without increasing the dues? Then for Bruce specifically, you said before you were unhappy with the building. I have to ask you, are you still unhappy? If you are, why? Or if you are happy, why are you happy? Why have you personally changed to make things happen? And
Well, we
with that, I don't have to give you a lecture about your responsibility. You know what you have to do.
Why don't I go back to Sharon and allow you each a minute to address the issue that Dr. Escala brought up about budgets and balancing budgets.
Well, as I mentioned briefly, it's always an issue, balancing the budget and knowing how cuts are going to affect the quality of our life. And most of us bought here because there's some status involved. We live in a building that's pleasant to live in visually, that works very well. Administratively, we have a manager full-time, we have a front desk person full-time, and I know that in the attempt to cut budgets in the past, it's been suggested that we go to a part-time manager, which we tried once, and it was pretty much a disaster. Not having somebody at the front desk also isn't good. There are a lot of times when you need somebody at the front desk late at night. So I think that, from my experience, the board always works very hard to try and find that fine line between conserving our funds and having them expand to cover as much as they can, and offering us the quality of life that we all expect.
Bruce.
I think that when I first came into the building, I think the first homeowners meeting that I attended, the recommendation was to eliminate a door person overnight, I think it was 7 or 9 o'clock at night till the next morning, which I think in this environment, in being one of 10 buildings where 9 others would offer full-time night coverage and a door person, this was totally unacceptable. That just wasn't going to work for me personally. I wouldn't have purchased in the building had that been the case. So I think we need to, again, maintain this building as a 5-star and be the best in the Shores. The overall community, I think, needs to have the same mentality. We have to drive it home that we have to maintain this place to the highest level it can. We have to be sensitive to association dues, things of that nature. I think we've done an excellent job as a board to meet the budgets. We've had huge increases in electrical costs, huge increases in water costs. We've made areas to change the amount of water use by our building. I think a lot of the costs that have risen, one was legal costs. I think last year that we had a couple of units that went into foreclosure, so we had huge, unexpected legal costs. But we're on pace to be at or under budget for this year. And last year, I think we ended up just at budget.
She didn't answer my question about
Okay.
the question that you raised before. You were unhappy about something, and whether or not you have done anything about it to make yourself happy.
I think the condition of the building, the hallways, the entrance, they were disastrous, I think. I think the carpet was stained,
Liz.
still is, and we're trying to get that addressed by
Excuse me to
the,
interrupt you. That was part of the entire project. I'm thinking about specifically what made you unhappy about the building for the past year that you have changed and made you happy.
the condition, the maintenance.
Like what?
The
Specifics.
overall maintenance of the building,
Specifics, please.
the hallways, the terrace. I'm unhappy with the garages still. I think the garages need to be
So what was
power
done?
washed and things of that nature.
What did you have done to make it better?
I've proposed to the board that we should look at the garages, that we should wash them down. We had an owner at the last meeting attend the meeting and bring it up again.
Proposing is one thing, but being done is a different thing. What was done to make you happy?
Pardon me?
Proposing is one issue, but
Uh-huh.
what was done is a different thing.
Well, we'll find out at today's meeting after last meeting. And that's the problem. That's exactly what Don was speaking of. When you're working in this environment, and each building is a separate association, and L&R, you bring a proposal to L&R, it's at least 30 to 60 days out before anything happens. I mean, we have a tenant in our building that's been causing havoc that we addressed, and we're waiting for an L&R. It took 30 days to get L&R to make a decision on filing a violation that we can act on. So patience is a virtue, but it's unfortunate that we can't make a decision immediately like we do when we own or run our own business and get something changed day one.
Okay, now I need to move on to Karen and let you address the issue of balancing budgets and budgets in general.
Cost cutting.
I think that the board and the management has done an excellent job in trading off what needs to be done with managing expenses. In any large building like this, there's always a bunch of problems, and they have to be dealt with. When I first moved here, I thought the building looked pretty shabby. It looked shabby in its hallways and what have you, and it looked shabby because it was almost yellow. Since we've paved the building and we have upgraded it, I think it's a lot better. We are going to have problems throughout, and they're going to have to be dealt with in a way that we trade off what we're getting for what it costs. And my view is that the board so far has done a good job, and I hope it continues to do so.
But have you looked specifically in cost cutting issues?
I can't hear you, sir. I have a little bit of a,
The question is if you look specifically at cost-cutting issues, or is cost-cutting a primary concern to you?
cost cutting is not a primary concern to me. I think it has to be managed so that it's reasonable compared to the other buildings, and we look and see whether we're out of line with whatever have you. But I think overall, those of us who live here because we want a first-class environment, and we have to be willing to pay for a first-class environment. That's my view.
Tom?
Thank you. To answer your question, you know, I haven't specifically looked at it, but I would look at it. But I would tell you that I don't know enough about the rules to tell you specifically, like, some of the things that happen in this building, in my opinion, are the building gets abused for 2 to 3 months a year. And if there's a way to put a surcharge on the renters for the damage they do to the carpet, the hallways, the stuff that they do, you know, you assess a charge to them that they pay for that. Because I mean, that's a pet peeve of mine, again, is I come in and, you know, I get here in May, the day my kids get out of school, I'm over here, May 26th, I know the day. And then all of a sudden the couches on, you know, my hallway are stained a month later, just people don't give a crap. And then someone has to pay for that. I mean, those are things that I would look at. I don't think you're gonna micromanage cost cutting to get a doorman away and that's gonna help us. That's not, we all signed up for a 5-star kind of living experience and we all want that. So so you have to look at ideas for ways to save money and what makes sense. I mean, again, when people rent, they leave the water on, they take 20-minute showers, they don't care. They say, I'm paying $7,000 a month, I'm gonna do what the hell I want. I mean, that's just the way it is. They trash the garages. I mean, so to me, it's like, this, you know, when you come here like me, like today, the town has a whole different feel, the building has a whole different feel. It's, you know, what is the occupancy, 25, 30% right now? So I mean, you have to think about how this thing ebbs and flows through the whole year, not just specific times. And I would try to look at it from that vantage point and not necessarily be able to, you know, cut expenses, but try to look at ways to improve the P&L and how we spend our money. But I agree with you guys. I mean, it's not, I don't sit there at home and say, I think we've done a poor job. I'm very happy with where this building is and what we have to offer. Thanks.
Ryan?
So it'll sound similar. You know, I think that Alan and the board have done a great job managing the cost. I'm very happy to see that, you know, we've been proactive about things to save money, like fixing the pipes before those turn into a big problem. I haven't looked at specific areas to cut cost, and like the others, I think that, you know, we need to invest the money to make sure that it stays at a high level.
Hey, Brett?
I haven't looked at it as well. You know, again, I think it's always something we should consider when considering the budget is how it impacts the residents here and about the cost. But again, I can't say that I've looked at it to be able to tell you what I would do as far as cost case saving. I'd have to be more involved with the budget, which I have not been.
Question? Go ahead.
Well, mine's kind of a question and a statement with the cutting costs and all. I think being proactive and getting things done. I'm an example of before things got done, I had to move out because my place was flooded before some of this work was done. I had to totally move out and totally gut our apartment. Had another time living here, because I lived here 27 years, that because things weren't spent and all, somehow there was a leak from the roof through the top that found a little way and came into my living room and ruined the television, ruined it. So being proactive, getting these things done is so important. And I'm a 10 unit, so that means they come in through my thing all the time. I'm happy about it. Well, maybe if you put back the closet, I'll be happy.
Me too. I'm a 10 unit too.
You know, but basically, and I'm very, very happy. I was on one of the first boards, as I said, and we used to have closed board meetings. You couldn't go in. I remember years I was on, then I was off, and then everything became a secret. And I think it is fantastic, and I'd like it on record that we have this open board meeting. And sometimes I'm the only person here.
Often.
often that somehow we need to, if this is on tape, get homeowners to come put their input in. It is so important. And my other congratulations, the little, what do you want to call it, the trailer.
Oh,
The-
yeah.
that-
The porta potty.
For the potty. This has been something that has come up for probably the last 20 years about where can somebody that's on the beach use it. And we've had not in my backyard, things constantly from every building, and the solution is adorable.
Adorable.
It is. And I try to tell people who haven't gone to see, when you pass the Dell, go into the circle and see the little trailer they put up that looks like a tent.
Jerry, it's gone now. It's at the case, it's being stored at the case until either spring break or summer for
Summer.
sure. But it served its purpose, and then it became, they needed to clean it out 3 times a week when it was, 3 times a day when it wasn't used that much, so they've moved it, they trailered it down. But it is and that was the city. That really was, I mean, there was, the whole Shores gave a lot of opinions, whether yes or no, but the city did that design.
Well, I hope it comes back.
It will.
And it'll be here
Oh, it will.
permanently, or
I think seasonally.
We have a couple more minutes. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Are there any current issues affecting both the building and the campus in general? I'm a new owner, and I need to be educated if, you know, if there are any, what your respective views would be on them. Maybe there's nothing.
Are you here full-time? Are you a
Yes.
full-time
Yes.
owner? I urgently suggest that you come to our board meetings and to LNR. You will learn so much. It's a great indoctrination. You'll see the political workings of LNR. And each committee presents, and that's
the way
a
to solve the
great,
issues.
yeah,
Well, I'll
indoctrination.
address from the landscape committee, you know, we had one building that somebody poisoned the trees, trying to get rid of the trees, which is a major issue. You know, there's always debate about trees and stuff.
Any other of you candidates like to address the question of campus concerns?
The biggest thing going on is the remodel of the health club. You probably know that. That's
Yeah,
going to be the big.
I've been evicted.
Okay, any other questions?
One-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, just one other thing. Our building is the only building that sends out a monthly letter to our owners, and that brings you up to date about current things that are going on, both in our building and on campus.
And I appreciate being able to go online, and Ellen's always updated with the monthly minutes, so if somebody can't go to a meeting, you know, there's no reason not to know what's going on.
And you can get the LNR minutes too.
Right,
online.
yeah, I've done that.
And you're gonna bring up that smoking thing at the big meeting, and
That's correct.
just the
We'll share the results at the end of the
yeah,
meeting.
be interesting, just.
Any other questions, Don? I saw your hand go up. I didn't want to hold it. I just wanted to get that thought done.
There's just a couple things that I wanted to just bring out, that Ben brought out, the fact that Alan does post the minutes to every meeting online. So if you're interested in all the information that we're saying that we don't get and so on, so it's either attend the meeting or go online and get it, so the information is there. And we have a very open door policy. It's that simple. We try to admit, that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That we operate real well under that, because we try to keep it simple yet informative, and to where everybody can understand and enjoy the life here. That's basically it.
I think the main thing is, or somehow to get the message to all the owners, that when they see something they're not happy about, they've got to let the board know. So, and Alan, of course, so that we can address it. I mean, the worst thing is that you walk by something every day and you say to yourself, oh, I should take care of that. But you continue to walk and it never gets done. When somebody else notices it and brings it to your attention the second time, then you're quick to react. And I think, you know, I'd like to see where we have homeowners that live on floors full-time, maybe walk their floor and get to Alan once a week or once a month and say, you know, there's spots on the wall or spots on the carpet. What if the fire exits aren't clean, things of that nature. I mean, that's that's the part, especially when the people that have the dogs generally go down through the garage, or else they'll go down to the terrace level and go out that fire exit, and those don't always get maintained, even though they're on a checklist and get walked. I walked it this morning, and they haven't cleaned the terrace outside there, nor the landing on the terrace level and the fire exit. And those are the things that if the owners don't bring up and just sit there and they get more angry about what's not getting taken care of, it's not for lack of wanting to do it, it's for lack of not knowing that there's a problem that exists. So the owners have to be more vigilant in expressing their likes and dislikes to us.
I agree with you, and I think that by establishing small, I won't call them committees, but small groups within our building, whether it's a social committee that has a phone chain about things that are happening, or somebody that's sick, or a new owner that we could go and greet. None of this happens socially in the same way we can have people assigned to each, volunteer for each hall to help out in looking at these things, and that takes so little time.
Right.
But that has to be done through the board. I mean, it needs to be establishing committees, internal committees.
Final comments from any of you? Okay, well, I want to, on behalf of the association, thank you for sharing potentially your time and energy to consider being a candidate and to consider being a board of director. It's important, it was brought up before, a homeowners association will not operate without the volunteers to govern it. Professional managers like myself can only do one aspect. It requires directors, it requires homeowners participation on a number of levels. And for all of that, I want to thank all 6 of you for taking the time, your energy, and effort to be a candidate for such an important part of the association. And for those of you listening at home, well, please remember to vote. Get the ballots into me by November 7th. Our annual meeting will be Saturday, November 8th at 4 p.m. And I hope that all of you that are in the area can attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.